The rights of Nigerian women may seem protected by law, but the reality is different. The country's constitution safeguards against discrimination on the basis of gender. Though equal rights in Nigeria are constitutional, customary law favors the male over female. Today, women and girls in Nigeria are confronted by the realities of widespread discrimination, violence, and injustice, so much that only a few find a way to rebound. It is against this backdrop that ActionAid Nigeria is partnering with community-based organizations and women's rights organizations to implement a Global Affairs Canada-funded project, Women's Voice and Leadership Nigeria. The project seeks to empower women and girls in challenging unfavorable cultural practices. While partnering with women rights organizations and community-based organizations, ActionAid changed the narrative of donor funding by allowing partners implement their core mandates.
Women's Voices and Leadership Nigeria project. Okay, so basically it's a project that seeks to amplify women's voices and leadership in Nigeria. We come from a country where it's believed that women belong in the kitchen, in the parlor, and in the other room. And we as women, we know we are more than that. But the reasons this agenda will be pushed is because in Africa, in Nigeria, poverty wears a woman's face. So when you tell a woman sit, she will sit. You tell her go down, she'll ask you how low. But you know that if a woman is empowered, that will not be.
The multi-layered successes in Cross River State is well knitted into three themes. One is the gender-based violence. Prior to WVL intervention, women in many communities suffered gender-based violence. Community leaders barely knew how to handle such cases without reoccurrence.
We have trained them on how to demand for their rights as women in the community and stand out. Because on starting the project, we realized that these women were timid. I can recall before we commenced the project, we had a meeting with the client head and others, and we realized that they don't know nothing about gender-based violence, and this has been going on in their community, but they have zero knowledge about it, and they didn't know how to go about it.
Some issues that women were facing before the advent of RAWAS included both physical and psychological problems, like wife battering, like a woman has no right to inherit the husband's property. The family, on the demise of the husband, the family will come in and take over everything.
Men were abusing women in terms of beating. See, those boys, when they smoke Indian hemp, they used to harass women, rape girls underage. Before we started this working with AWA, when those things happen in the community, we will report to the village head. Village head, they know something about village. In terms of police, they will not ask you, they will not send you. But when our initiative came in, we started knowing that if this type of case happened in the community, you have to take it to the police.
The tools for combating gender-based violence varies by organization. The Community Watchdog and I Support Her group are used by our initiatives as a GBV and sexual reproductive health and rights organization.
So we saw the need to train the women and girls. Firstly, we train the girls as gender-based violence advocates in the community. We train community watch women and watchdogs. We now develop create I Support Her Club in the community. That's for men that support women. And we also carried out a training on self-defense with the young girls and women, how they can defend themselves while facing abuse.
Oftentimes, when you talk about gender-based violence, they feel maybe just women. So where we have men too who like the idea, who came into the initiative of what they are doing in terms of gender-based violence. So we'll see how we can talk to our fellow men to see reason what they are doing. So that's what the I Support is all about.
People who see beauty in things.
Born out of the desire to rid their immediate community from the dominant abuse of women by men, NCF is particularly known in Cross River State for being instrumental to the establishment of Interfaith Coalition.
The formation of the Interfaith really now helps us in there. Both Christian and Muslim, we learn from one another, we share work outside, then we form a platform wherever you can transfer whatever you see and you want to know more, you want to learn more, like we're discussing about the circumcision of the female gender. Then I saw something, I said, yeah, where the ulama, they do a consensus, I have to send it to them. People now learn from there.
So the Interfaith Coalition has actually helped us to, to understand and work closely with the Muslim, clerics, and we're able to exchange information. And we got to know that there are so many things that we thought actually was like a dividing force, that those things that bring us together even more than those that divide us.
Encouraged by the results of their fight against gender-based violence, the coalition is taking a step further with the creation of a document.
So we've been able to develop documents, one for the Muslims and one for the Christians, and we want to distribute these documents to churches, the ones for Christians to churches, to as many churches as we can reach, where they can, because from the research that we've done that eventually resulted in the document, we discovered that in the Bible, that the scripture does not have anything, that one would think, engenders, endangers the woman or the girl. Rather, the scripture has made us understand that the woman and the girl ought to be protected. As this word of God will say, as weaker vessels, so we are supposed to give them protection.
What is major now is this underage marriage, for example. It's part of what we discussed in the interfaith. There's be a limit where you can give a child out for marriage. We are now telling you somebody is now, because Aisha married age of 9 and Muhammad married Aisha age of this, and then no, it can't be like that. Even Islam emphasized that our female learning of education is compulsory on all our female and our male. A lot of things like that. So we brought all this up in the Quran, and then we formed a paper whereby it will now be useful for everybody. So imams now, we now went to their various mosques. So most of the Friday at that period should be on that, how those things happen in our society and how do we now stop this thing.
While NCF created a document for clergies, our initiatives compiled a GBV directory, a list of organizations that can be contacted in the event of gender-based violence.
Through the WVL project, with support from ActionAid and Government of Canada, we were able to create this directory. We believe that from this directory we'll be able to get to neighborhood care, and neighborhood care will be able to take it off from there, because they have case manager, which we don't have. Our work is just to make referrals. And on making this referral, we don't just sit and relax. We follow up to ensure the case gets to the last stage.
Now, in fact, women, we are enjoying in our community now. Because if they want to share our parents' property, they will remember that women are still there. They will share for us. Like me, seated here, my mother's property, I'm collecting rents, of which in those days, they were not something like that. They only say, male child have the mother and the father property. Because of this training they are giving to us, telling us our own rights. Now we have that knowledge. We are enjoying now in the community.
The men have responded positively. They now know their limits. Since they know the women know their rights, the men also recognize their limits as far as the women are concerned.
Having conquered GBV, there is the need for women to gain some economic power. Their dance today is a dance of victory, as the once timid and aggressive women have been through teachings on self-confidence, hygiene, among other topics. Reaching an eternal truce between them and poverty was not an easy feat. These women have been exploited for their labor for over 20 years.
Before now, they were being exploited because they were laid off from palm. They were frustrated, they didn't know what to do. So there was somebody who was using them as farmers. He will give them plots of land, his own land, to farm for them and pay them 1,000. So when we came, we discovered that from Sunday to Sunday, they will farm. The rule was that if you don't finish the plot of land, you will not be given any money. And that money was just 1,000.
And this is their quarters. This place was built as quarters for staff that were working with palm oil company. Now the company is no more. They've gone and the people are here. Some of them were not paid off. And so they are just abandoned here to fend for themselves, to cater for themselves.
After 2 decades of working long hours and earning very low wages, they got the opportunity to live for themselves. Most importantly is the practical guide through financial literacy and savings. Nka Ibanuko Foundation has helped these women save over ₦1 million, relying on what they know best, farming.
When we started the savings, we started weekly. Whatever they sell from the beginning of the week to the end, they bring it in. And from there, I discovered that women could save enough. We saw them as people that were very poor, very helpless. But at the end of the year, we discovered that they could save so much. And they were happy. They've discovered, initially they farm, they just sell, they don't keep records, they don't have any savings. They didn't even know whether they were doing anything. But with Silk and ActionAid, now they know that they can save, they can make keep good amount of money. From there, they pay their children's fee. They do a lot of things with it, and they are very happy. Initially, the women were able to save about 500,000, second year up to $1 million, and the third year more than $1 million. And from there, some of them have been able to send their children to school. Children that were out of school have now gone back to school. Some children have written WAEC, some children have gone back to learn one trade or the other, and the women too have engaged in a lot of activities outside that.
Fabian, having saved the most, is excited that she could send her 5 children through school as a widow. The sad story for these women is that eviction has been served from their shelter of 2 decades. This facility, donated by ActionAid to the widows of Utugwan community, is indeed a lifesaver. Before now, women trekked a very far distance to process cassava. Thanks to the WVL project, they now take turns to fry large quantity of gari within the community.
Before, now, we be get small round this thing with the those gari. Now see fry, we don't get big one. Now they fry gari, 9 basin, even 10 basin. But before, be 1 basin of day. But now, that fry, now they fry 10 basin, 8 basin for a day. ActionAid, where they produce that fryer, everything of give us the fry. So.
Formerly, we were using small fry pots. We set fire
At times, from morning to evening, we can't be able to produce one basin. So when ActionAid brought this thing now, we produce our cassava. After pressing, we'll carry it to this place. We can fry up to 3 or 4 basins. The women will come here, we'll fry together, we'll join hands and do things together.
Not only has this eliminated the risks and stress of traveling far to process cassava, the quantity of processed product has also increased. There are many similar stories in Cross River State. Stories of women who had lost hope. Fortunately, WVL has granted them the opportunity for economic transformation.
I don't know about other states, but here in Cross River State, basically, if a woman is any more than the man, the head of the home, there's an issue. Most times you have to take up most of the responsibility. So in order to see that that does not happen, we had to continue our mentorship. The mentorship, the trainings to make the women understand that you need to gain control of your resources. Not being at loggerheads with the man, but to maintain a saving culture. So that was how we brought in the financial literacy training, the VSLA training, whereby they form groups, they save as a group. At the end of the day, they disburse the funds amongst themselves.
We have been taught about financial literacy and management. That has really helped too. You know, sometimes it comes and you don't know how to manage your money and keep the capital and the profits. So that has really helped. A lot of women have been empowered. At least I was opportune to be where they train like hat making, beads making, sales of bonds, ching. I know of so many women that have been there. Because I tell you, as a woman, you must be financially stable and strong enough to take care of yourself. My husband was ill, had a shop before, everything went down because of his ill health. And I couldn't help myself. Sometimes you want to get some little things for yourself, you could not do it. But right now, for Woody coming in and there was a change, you could save a little thing at least from there and help yourself and help the children at home. So life has really changed.
Their products may never be listed on the stock market, but as SMEs, they collectively contribute a large sum to the revenue of the state. The many unfavorable tax regimes were mandatory, especially for women-owned businesses. As tough as that sounds, their cries fell on deaf ears.
As we empower these women, we now saw the need that, although they are making the money, yes, but another thing that was an adverse effect to them was the taxes that kept increasing. So we had to go into the marketplace to carry out assessment, to know about what the women go through when it comes to exploitation of women-owned business. So we now saw that some of them were harassed. So we now looked into that and we did a proposal to ActionAid and were funded for that. It was actually part of the intervention, part of the project we're running with them. So with that, we could create awareness on taxation. We did not do that alone. We collaborated with IRS, that's Internal Revenue Service, Board of Internal Revenue Service, Cross River State. We also collaborated with the Tax Justice Platform and FIDA, because FIDA have their presence in the tax office. So with that, they created so much awareness in the community that the women got to understand what they needed to pay and what they should avoid paying.
On the project, women have learned, number one, they've seen the need to pay their tax. They have been trained on what is called presumptive tax, you know, how that, what tax is right for them to pay per time. And then as women on the project, we've also learned to begin to speak. We've learned that our voices matter. And then we've begun to learn the nitty-gritties of how to hold government accountable, of how to negotiate with government and decision makers, and how to simply put our needs on the table.
The ease of doing business in Cross River State is by no means the same as the past, thanks to the activities of the local women's rights organizations. The subtle and fundamental lesson women have learned is that the only solution to poverty is work. A remarkable feat in Calabar was the empowerment of women and girls from the Hausa communities.
I'm glad that I have able girls in Hausa community. They are no more inside the house that they are meant to be closed, and they should not do anything.
Getting the attention of anyone observing Ramadan could be difficult, but the excitement of the WVL impact is the motivation for this duo.
Mu amfana da su sosai, so sun koya mana abubuwa da yawa. Dama bana aikin komai, na gama secondary school, so yanzu na iya abubuwa da yawa, kamar sun koya mana su peanuts, su donuts, abubuwa su cake, su abubuwa da yawa haka. Yanzu mun koya mun iya. Dama bana aikin komai, ina zama ni kawai, amma yanzu ina yin abubuwa da yawa, kuma ina supply ma shago, ina yi kaɗan kai musu sai. So double grace gaskiya sun taimake mu sosai.
If there was no this, let me say, program or foundation, a lot of things is going to happen to us, like us in the Hausa community. Early marriage, not going to school, not having handwork to do. And moreover, let me put an example with myself. Without this program, staying at home, doing nothing. Today, if you ask the parents, Daddy, I want this, Mommy, I want this, you might be like, take. Tomorrow, I don't have. You don't have anything to say, just ask for money. But now, alhamdulillah, I know how to end and to buy many things like clothes. Let me be sincere, even my pad, I'm the one getting it for myself.
Tell yourself I am enough.
Aside funding, the partners enjoyed a great deal of mentorship.
Okay, so before the introduction of the WVL project, the project spurred us up to get our CSC and also to develop our policy, which we didn't have. And also we had zero knowledge about the gender-based violence then, and we were trained on report writing, and we were trained on how to carry out on what gender-based violence is, the types, and how to also carry out the project in our different communities.
So I would rather say, without the project, without ActionAid and Canada, couple would have still been struggling. Yes, we have the mindset to help the women and children in the community, yes, but achieving that successfully wouldn't have been very possible. We would have had some success stories out of it, yes, that's based on our personal struggle, but I don't think it would have been this, it wouldn't have given us this triple effect.
Under CAPI, we've been able to establish a relationship with the Nigerian Exports Promotion Council, and we have an export license. We have been trademarked. Under CAPI, we've been able to go into agriculture as a cooperative. We currently have a 3,000 capacity plantation farm. And as of this next planting season, we are expanding to 7,000. Our target is to hit 25,000 suckers before the end of next year.
The Nigerian political scene is rather saturated by men. There is no thought of chivalry, neither is there a consideration for equity. The violent most often take it by force.
We are there and we are vulnerable. The people who are contesting against us are men, and they go all out to ensure that they do all sorts of things, compromising, all the system, let me say the system, that would take the final decisions.
Well, normally I don't like voting, because when I look at the society, it seems as if they don't recognize women. Then they feel that women are irrelevant in the society, or in the government, or in politics. So when I look at it, I don't like voting.
By refusing to participate in politics, women have gradually moved from being victims to being enablers of bad leadership. This realization is what informed the change in the mind of many.
2023 was my first time of voting, and through the direction of GADA, which they enlightened us about voting, I was able to vote for the people that
I wanted voting for. And among all, the women were included and they won. And the women I've been voting for, I've been hearing of good things about them, how they are doing good things and how they are empowering people, especially women. I've been seeing them through television and social media. So that's what made me proud of being voted for them.
We've also encouraged women generally. Like the last election, we went out to encourage women to register and vote. We went as far as going to synod meetings to interact with them and encourage them. We even told them, some came far from Niger Delta region, we told them, when you go back, if you can't register here, go back and register at home and make sure that you vote. It's your right. Your voice needs to be heard. So ActionAid has really helped us in that area. We registered over 4,000 women registered to vote. So that's a big thing.
GADA had billboards for us, women who were contesting, you know, and then radio jingles and all of that, and educating the men to see the need to carry the women along in the space. There's enough space, so a little percentage of women in politics, in governance, won't harm anybody. So that was what GADA did for us.
Even though our thematic area is the women in politics, but we've done a lot. I mean, one thing that stands out is encouraging young girls to participate in politics. They never had interest. In the tertiary institutions, we just had men always being the student union government president, But with intervention by GADA, which is supported by ActionAid and funded by Global Affairs Canada, we did a lot of intervention and engagement and advocacy in the tertiary institutions. UNICAL, University of Cross River State, College of Health Tech. And that encouraged the girls to come out, so that right now, the vice president of student union government in University of Cross River State is a girl. And the same thing in University of Calabar. In fact, in the College of Health Tech, it's a female, a woman that is the head of the SUG.
Well, through what I'm seeing women are doing in politics, it enticed me joining politics and believing that one day I may have a post in politics. And I believe that one day, one year, anytime, any day in this country, a woman must be a president.
It is a personal victory for most of these women, especially because an aspect of their lives is not where it used to be. In this struggle for survival, there is no room for error, no time for practice.
5 years ago, it was a rat race for survival. There were no dreams. There was just taking one day at a time, just being alive. Just let this breath remain in me. 5 years ago, I was a single mother. I just found myself a single mother for the first time. And all I wanted was to just ensure that these children did not starve.
If the WVL project had not come forth, I really think there would have not been any change in their lives. They would have still been solely dependent on their husbands, and which would have made life a living hell for most of them. But because of what they do right now, because they are all petty traders and they sell the things they make, they have been able, I can say that without the WVL project, they wouldn't have been where they are now.
Life of women is usually characterized by warfare and competition against factors that hide under the masks of masculinity. Today, it is taking the synergy among women's rights organizations to rebound.
There's a synergy that is created when there's a collaboration. The synergy that actually improves on what one set of people would have done. So when there's that collaboration, it takes it to a higher level. They would have achieved success on their own to some extent, and we would have also achieved our own success to some extent, but coming together has taken the success to a great new development. And then we have, this development has helped us to know them better, and they also know us better.
All the synergy, the collaboration, partnership with all other WVL partners has really helped this project to go on. It's a lot of work. We've done a lot of work. We work together, we partner together. It has really helped the WVL to succeed.
With the partners in Cross River standing as matchmakers, ActionAid and Global Affairs Canada play the roles of midwives, helping women birth their destinies out of poverty.
Okay, right now we have seen that what we have done in the community, there is a reduction of gender-based violence, and we still need to do more. And how do we do this? We need more funding. When we have more funding, we'll be able to extend this training to other communities. Because right now we are just handling just 4 communities. We'll be able to handle more communities, and we'll be able to involve more women, because some of our trainings is just 20 women due to the funding. But if we have more funding, we can call in more women from other places to join the training.
I will also suggest that there is need for us to have an academy here, like a political school. Like we have a youth academy, we have football youth academy for the young ones to groom them. So I think if we have, it's not so much to start something, I mean, to encourage especially the young girls in the university, let them start that young so that the interest can be there. We've already started something, and we need for me to improve on what we've done.
What WVL has done, even though we have, I think I should just call it a scratch, considering how vast the state is. We may have achieved some level of successes within the Calabar metropolis, but there's still how many more local governments out there that have not actually been touched? So if the funding comes, all we do is to spread out.
Honestly, I feel like crying, but I will not cry. I will not cry. I'm so emotional right now because this project, I will say thank you so much to ActionAid and the government of Canada for remembering us in this part of the country, especially in Cross River and in this Edebaka and others community. Honestly, their support has really helped us to do a lot in this community. Their support has helped women that did not have, that didn't have a hope. Now they are not hopeless again.